Welcome to the Self-Help Coaching Podcast, where insights, attitudes, and methods for success get illuminated. Learn what leaders and change workers have done and are doing now to create magnificent futures. We interview great guests who inspire you to overcome obstacles and achieve your goals. Be sure you visit our website at self-helpcoaching.com. While you're there, subscribe to us via your favorite network. Now, just relax as you listen. You can do something else, but be ready to make an important note. And let's get started.
The title of this interview is Changing Moods in a Single Beat with Wayne Altman, founder of Melody Clouds. We'll be talking about how to optimize your health after the age of 65, the use of binaural beats and solfeggio to affect your mood and enhance your life. Also, how to block grief and increase joy in your life. We'll be talking about other themes of mental health, meditation, and wellness. So let me tell you about Wayne Altman. He is an entrepreneur and founder of Melody Clouds. After suffering from tinnitus and looking for relief to all the noise he kept experiencing as a result of this illness, Wayne became aware of binaural beats in 2018. He started listening to different types of sounds and music, and after some time, he noticed that the only time he does not experience extreme ringing in both ears is when he can listen to various music selections and give himself a respite from the noise. He joined several different subscription sites that have become popular, but none of them were worth the money to him. Either they were far too expensive or had sparse content. He had to try to figure out something better. He finally found the way to help anyone who has the same condition by collecting tracks from producers from all over the world in dozens of different styles to suit any taste in music. Finding these amazing results made him think about introducing more beats to people who want to have a better focus, who wants to take a break from the day-to-day rush and just feel relaxed and calm to enjoy the present moment. For all those parents out there trying to calm their kids from being upset or cranky, people who love to meditate, and even for the ones who love reading and being read to, and more. Now, Melody Clouds has 8,000 hours of solfeggio, binaural beats, guided meditation, and let's get this, 16,967 audiobooks. Incredible. All designed to relax and educate and translated into over 100 different languages, and its membership spans across the globe. Wayne currently owns multiple online businesses, all designed to enrich the lives of his customers and his community. Wayne has determined that the healing and beneficial effects of this technology should be available to everyone who wants it. Wayne, I love that. Welcome, Wayne. I'm looking forward to this conversation.
I am very excited, Tony. This is going to be good. I definitely appreciate you having me.
You know, I've been into personal development, self-help for a very long time. One part of that has been binaural beats. I've been interested in binaural beats for at least 30 years. But I wouldn't call it woo. You know, Wayne and I, you're going to love this audience. Wayne and I had quite a pre-interview discussion because this guy is the guy. This guy's the man. We have so much in common. I love this guy already. I had to finally put the brakes on. Let's start the interview, Wayne, because we were yapping away with the stuff that we were both had in common. But binaural, you know, and one of the things that Wayne said to me is that I'm the least woo-woo guy, you know, and I like woo-woo, but only as something fun. You know, I don't take it seriously. To me, things that have, you know, empirical results you can take seriously. Things that have some sort of science to it you can take seriously. Now, you know, I appreciate art very much. But binaural beats has always been controversial. It's always appealed to me because it makes sense to me that it's dealing with the brain, and there's all different ways to skin a cat, you know, to use that metaphor. But I've played around with it. But well, first of all, let me have you answer the question. What are binaural beats?
Well, look, I don't even know that there's any question anymore that this is a working, this information has been around for just too long. I mean, you have solfeggio, which is the frequencies, how we respond to frequencies. That's been around since the 11th century. There was a monk named Guido di Arezzo who discovered that even if you can't play an instrument, you know when one's out of tune. And it's very true, right? You pick up a guitar and you don't have to know how to play that guitar to know that that guitar needs to be tuned. Now, with a binaural beat, that's two frequencies. Your brain operates, it's electronic, the synapses fire electrically and at a certain frequency, depending on what your mood is. So you have binaural beats takes one frequency you hear in one ear, one frequency in another ear, and your brain will then split the difference and give you a different result.
That is a wonderful description. You really encapsulated it for me.
100%. Very simple to understand. We did a lot of science did a lot of experimentation with this in the 70s, 80s, 90s. Here we are. We know it treats PTSD. We know that it can give people a break from grief. For me personally, tinnitus, you described it. I hadn't heard silence in 30 years.
Wow.
30 years I went with this ringing that's going on right now in my head as we speak. Since I don't have the headphones in, I can't listen to a binaural beat. I am listening to this very obtrusive screeching in my ears right now. But I put the headphones in, I listen to a binaural beat, and boom, I hear silence.
I as I was talking to you about earlier, I've created an app, Proficio, which I say is going to transform self-help and usher in a success revolution. And a key element, it's a self-help coach, the world's first true self-help coach. The problems with self-help, a person doesn't start them, incredibly. They don't apply what they learn, they don't complete it, and most importantly, they don't apply it consistently afterwards. Okay, blah, blah, that aside. One of the key elements I had installed into this app is something called motivator mode. And that's when a person's in a self-help track, a self-paced track, when they don't keep the progress that they wanted, the motivator mode, after some warnings, will be initiated, which is a radical modular process to get them remotivated. And it uses some default modules and it uses subjective ones. One of the default modules I had created, and I was sure to include this one, is binaural beats. Because even though I don't know it like you do, I saw that there's something here. So the person will listen to binaural beats, which says to them, subliminally, some things is conscious, some things subliminal. Get back to work. You didn't buy this course to just throw it away. You wanted to do something with it. Get back to work, and to get them back into the proper state of mind where they want to improve themselves. So yeah. I'm already believe it or not, a believer.
Well, to anyone that has trouble with binaural beats or solfeggio, which really let me boil it down even further for them. So we have known since the beginning of time that music has the power to motivate, to soothe, to educate, so we have installed in every TV show, every movie that's ever been created, with the exception of 17. There are 17 movies that do not have a soundtrack. And there's a reason for that. Because we know that we can show even silent movies. Silent movies had someone at the front playing a piano to go along with the visuals that you were seeing on the screen.
Yes.
More recently, the movie Wall-E. I use this example a lot. So I have small children, and when they would always beg me to put Wall-E on. It was a very cute story about a little robot, but it didn't have anyone speaking in it for over an hour and 20 minutes into the movie. So you got this long, before the first word of dialogue has ever been spoken, You follow this robot with his triumphs. He falls in love. He has a hard day, right? But we know exactly what's going on.
Yes, I recall. I was very impressed by that movie.
Yeah, and everyone knows. Hey, we know exactly what's going on. Not only do we see the visual, but we emote. We are emotionally invested in this little robot, and it was the music that brought you there.
Definitely.
So binaural beats is an extension of that, but only slightly. It's a very slight extension. I'll give you another example.
Please.
When you go and work out at the gym, you do not bring air supply. Love air supply. Air supply is great. Okay.
You talking about the band or the literal thing?
You bring your air supply, but you don't bring the band to go work out. That's to relax by. Okay. You want to bring in Metallica. You want to bring in Iron Maiden. You want to bring in something that is actually going to get you pumped up and get a good workout in.
I absolutely concur. You know, when I go running, jogging, I should say more precisely, or biking, I strive to listen to my own playlist, because I always get a much better workout when I do. As opposed to, I listen to audiobooks all the time, but they don't help me with a workout. They're great, enrich my brain, my knowledge, great, and I do it all the time. But when I'm working out, it's music, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference every time.
I have two friends. We go play golf a couple times a year. They live in different states. We meet up someplace. And I realize we have a trophy that we play for. And I realize that my name has not been on that trophy in a very long time. What they did to me is they played music that they knew was going to get me off kilter. They played faster music. I was used to listening to either country, something that would slow my swing down and give me a better swing. No, they were smart enough to play music that was actually going to get me pumped up too much, and I can't play golf that way. Steve, Rick, you guys are morons. I'm on to you now, though.
Yeah, I'm that sort of clever person too. You know, I do things like that. I'm a practitioner of neurolinguistic programming, so I'm all about how the mind works, and that really titillates me.
It's perfect. Look, it's a very smart thing to do. You know. But we apply this in our everyday life. Let's say that you and I, we were going to go to a church service. You walk into a Catholic church, perhaps a very large structure, and they're playing organ music. The organ music's very heavy. We immediately, without speaking to one another, know that we are going to lower our countenance. We are going to become more reverential. Now, if I take you across the street and maybe there's a Baptist church where they're singing praise music. Well, immediately we feel lighter, and our hands go above our heads, and we're in a praise, way now. You know what I mean? It's very uplifting.
Yes.
And 5 minutes before, we were doing the same exact thing, only we were being subdued. So that's what we're talking about here.
Fantastic. I mean, everyone who considers that knows that that's the truth, that the music easily either sets the tone or makes the difference, or either can even make or break a situation, or at least make it into something that only music can make it into. Okay, all said, what are some of the benefits of binaural beats? Why would someone want to buy them, use them, or
Well, look, let's say that you are working on a project and you want to become more focused. We have the ability, using certain frequencies, to bring you in the zone. Everyone talks about being in the zone. Oh, he was in the zone. And normally it's in a sports context, but this goes beyond that. Absolutely. This can provide you with the ability to concentrate those signals and put you in at will, anytime you want, in the zone. Or let's say that
let me reply to that, Wayne. I was a life coach. I'm an entrepreneur. I've got to say in reply, being focused is the most important thing. You know, I mean, you could say a number of things are most important, and you can argue, but without being focused, a person will never succeed at anything. You must focus on the things that need focus. Otherwise, you will fail. So that's a very, very valuable thing. So focus.
Well, what makes it even more valuable is if you can do this through binaural beat or through music, then that means that you don't necessarily have to take the prescription medication that will also put you into that focus. Now, look, I'm not here to trash pharmaceuticals.
Right.
But what I'm saying to you is you may not need to take a pill to go to sleep.
Hey,
you may
you're
not
preaching
need to
to the
take
choir.
another pill to focus.
To me, in my personal opinion, a drug should be a last resort, not, a last resort. Look into what else you can do naturally without putting something to your body.
Yeah, we agree. I think that even medical practitioners agree with that. They would much rather their patients not have to go the route of, side effects and addiction issues that come with that.
Totally.
I was talking to a very good friend of mine. My daughters play volleyball. I'm talking to one of the other parents at volleyball, and she reveals to me that she takes Benadryl before going to bed. And I was, are you ill? Are you sick? She goes, no, I just can't sleep. Benadryl will, knock me out. And I was like, but the side effects of that can be catastrophic. You can really do some damage, prolonged use of this drug. That's not what it's intended for.
Right.
Why don't you take this home? Let me give you a subscription. Let's try this out, and let's see if we can do it without any side effects or damaging your kidneys and liver. I mean, that might be a better option.
Absolutely. A big problem that this country and the rest of the world in lesser degrees have is that, we're the instant gratification society. We want things quick, we want them in a pill. And that is at a great expense, a great expense, and all sorts of unintended and even unforeseen consequences that go on. So, man, totally. Let's take a moment to hear from our sponsor, and we'll come right back with Wayne Altman.
This episode of Self-Help Coaching is brought to you by Proficio. When people learn something, they want to use it, so it has real value. And the best teacher is experience. Visit www.proficio.io. That's PERFICIO.io, where Proficio will have you taking action with what you're learning immediately. You'll be closer to your goals before you even realize it.
You're listening to the Self-Help Coaching Podcast with me, your host, Tony Petrozza. We're having a fantastic conversation with Wayne Altman. I mean it. We're just getting started. And me and this guy have a lot in common. And that's not the only thing that makes him great. Of course, I say that tongue in cheek. But this guy is a real believer in personal development and working with people. And I love what this guy's about. And he's sharing with us great information about binaural beats, which is perhaps the least known of the personal development area. I mentioned it earlier. I knew about it and I was into it to a degree. But what do you think? That's a fair statement that that's the least known part of personal development?
It certainly is, a burgeoning or, an erupting science right now. It's being used to treat PTSD patients. It's being used for addiction, helping people overcome their addictions, overcoming grief. But yeah, you're right. I think that we are just now beginning to understand and really put some thought and effort and concentration in this technology, how it can be applied, and what its uses are.
I know of a number of psychologists and people in the field, like I think Bill O'Hanlon is one I know from a HoloSync or something like that. Have you heard of that guy in that company?
I haven't.
Yeah, but this is something I always wanted to do more of it. What I found in my experience with binaural beats is that I needed to have a more consistent application, just like everything else. Now, is that a fair statement, or would you say that, because I think people might tend to listen to things sporadically or without any commitment or focus or consistency?
Oh, 100%. I mean, this is definitely something that you can train and can actually get benefit from, more as time goes on. What's amazing about this is we have thousands and thousands of tracks of guided meditations and solfeggios and binaural beats. And I have people that are contacting me now saying, listen, I can get the benefit of binaural beats without putting the headphones in. In other words, they have trained their brain. They've gone to the point where they don't have to have each frequency injected basically into each ear in order to get the benefit. Their brain has been developed enough that they can pick those frequencies out, put them in the proper channels, and get that benefit, which makes perfect sense. But I think a lot of it is this. So when you go to the doctor prescribes a medication, and that medication may or may not work on you. It doesn't mean that the medication doesn't work if it doesn't work on you. It just means that maybe they're going to try a different dosage. Maybe they're going to try a different medication, something that works better with your body. Yes. And that's something that we're just now beginning to see with binaural beats, just now with solfeggio, because people are starting to understand, wait a minute, maybe, this doesn't work the same way on every single person. And so let's try a different frequency. Let's try it for a longer or shorter period of time. And, let's try and adjust this like you would any other medication.
I think that's a kind of a problem that many people have, is that they hear anecdotes, or they have this idea that there's not enough evidence to prove the efficacy of something, when actually there's so much subjectivity in the reality of success. What was the person's point of degradation? What did healthiness or recovery look like? What was done? There's so many parts of the pie of both sickness and wellness that you've got to if you looked at just that, if you want, I'm an NLP practitioner, which, is a lot of controversy, gets poo-pooed on, which is both an art and science, but and I love psychology. It's my favorite subject. I considered becoming a psychologist many times. Indeed, I was a life coach, which are they're practical psychologists. But if you look at the field of psychology, and you just looked at the amount of people walked around now mentally ill, you would have to say psychology is an abject failure. Wow, talk about a total failure, man. Look at all these mentally ill people that's everywhere. All right. Right. So, but a person there's a whole process of identifying illness or symptoms, and then a process of recovery or wellness. So and what you're saying is that I think you're saying it in your own way, that people have to understand about what I just described. Is that accurate?
Correct. Yeah, it's 100% correct. I mean, I don't know anyone. I know a lot of people. I don't know anybody that would argue that music. Our tagline with Melody Clouds is take charge of your mood. In other words, we want you to understand you are the one in control of whether you're happy, you're sad, you're focused, you're scattered, whatever. You're the one that's in charge of that, because you're the only one that can be in charge of that.
And that is a critical thing. You cannot overemphasize how important that is. When you're in a bad mood, you everything suffers. Put it this way: if you got to make a decision, don't be in a bad mood, because you're going to make a bad decision. All right? It's that simple. If you want to, the better the mood, or NLP people would say, the better the state, the better you can make your decision, the better you can perform. I mean, you got all these things to do, and you feel like shit. What do? You don't do very well, or you do nothing, right? So you want to be able to manage, if not control, your mood, your state. So, if you're not an NLP practitioner or whatever, using some audio device or audio track to improve or even control your mood sounds to me like something someone should do.
100%. I mean, anything you do with a negative attitude is going to have negative outcomes.
Right.
I don't ever see, hugely successful people that are Eeyore, that donkey and Winnie the Pooh. I mean, just walking around defeated, angry. You very, 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 very rarely see people who progress and who get better and have better outcomes while they're in this, negative state. It's going to improve your familial relationships, your work relationships, your life in general, your outlook on things, whether or not you're going to be successful. These are things you really do need to get a handle on, take charge of, because Absolutely. If you don't, the ramifications are very, very dire. Critical. If you are not in control, Doesn't mean that there isn't a place for anger. There isn't a place for sadness. Of course there is. These were gifts given to us.
Right.
But they need to be managed, just like food consumption or exercise or anything like that. You need to take charge of your mood, and make your life, help your life become better.
One of my favorite self-help authors is Brian Tracy, and one of those biggest things that he espouses is time management. And I do not argue with, dispute that at all. However, Tony Robbins, another big guy, we were talking about him before on the podcast, where I thought he was number one in self-help, and Wayne said, no, he's rated number 8 by some rating.
USA Today. No one get offended. USA Today listed him as number 8.
Yeah, and that you were talking about a plane ride that you had with Danelle Delgado.
Yes, yeah.
And she's number 3. I was like, wow, that's wow. But I love Tony Robbins nonetheless. He's NLP's rock star. Everyone knows him and don't even know about NLP. But
Sure.
Anyway, he would say, and I totally concur, is that time management is state management. You manage your state, which basically, to be simplistic, be in a good mood and not be in a bad mood. You can manage your time, and time is the most valuable thing we all have. No matter if you're the richest or poorest people in the world and the billions in between, time is the most important thing, most valuable thing we have. So we have to manage our state if we want to manage our time, and we have to manage our time if we want to do well and succeed in life, and no matter what it is. So this is a critical thing. I mean, a person doesn't have to learn NLP or whatever other self-help or personal development. They just got to put on a pair of headphones and they can manage their state.
Yeah, we have thousands and thousands of hours of guided meditations to help people get where it is they're going. You mentioned something earlier, and it really struck me. Look, we're all growing. You cannot help but grow. Now, you can choose to speed up that process of growth and using some of the tools that you're talking about. You can choose to help that along, or you can choose to just leave things at the status and you'll grow at whatever pace. And maybe you'll grow negatively. Maybe that growth will be negative growth. You'll get bad habits ingrained more deeply, or you'll take the bull by the horns. You'll take control of that aspect of your life, and you will actually start seeing some progress and the benefits.
I love it. Let's take a moment to hear from our sponsor, and we'll come right back with Wayne Altman.
This episode of Self-Help Coaching is brought to you by Perficio. People value all sorts of things, but Benjamin Franklin teaches us that the most valuable thing we have is time. With it, we can have practically anything. Visit www.perficio.io, that's PERFICIO.io, where you can truly learn how to value time and have that instilled in you so that you can best use time to work for you.
You're listening to the Self-Help Coaching Podcast with me, your host, Tony Petrozza. We're having an incredible conversation with Wayne Altman and about all the benefits of Binaural Beats and Melody Clouds, which is his company, which has them and has an incredible collection of them. And I think, I really hit it off with Wayne when we first met, and we had a great first discussion before. As a matter of fact, the discussion was going on. I said, Wayne, let's do a podcast. Let's do a podcast interview. And one of the things I like about you and that we got in common, Wayne, is that we're both veterans. I'm an ex-paratrooper, and you're ex-soldier too, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, and you were telling the story about how you were on an elevator, and how you just had to, and how you had hit up a conversation with another veteran. I tell you, and I have all the social skills. I'm a practitioner of NLP, like I said, but I love to be by myself. And I love to talk to people, but I also love to be quiet. That said, the guy who introduced NLP to me was George Morrison. He became I was an actor and my mentor in acting. And this is the guy who was behind Gene Hackman, Dustin Hoffman. He was partnered with Mike Nichols, and I trained under both of them, the great American director. So I was telling the story to George one time that, because I would do experimental bowl stuff, because why not, and I got on the elevator, and everybody, of course, once people get on the elevator, they all turn around and face the door, right? Well, I got on the elevator and I continued to face the same direction I walk on, and everybody became uncomfortable.
Right.
And I'm telling George the story. I'm like, and I said, everybody was facing the wrong way. He goes, "You go through life that way, Tony." I'm like, well, maybe, but sometimes doing something unusual or unconventional, or because you see some value in it, or maybe even more than sometimes, is a good thing to do. So where I'm going with this is that, well, most people haven't heard of binaural beats. That's no reason to not explore them further, because there is an undiscovered country here. I mean, have you heard of the different kinds of intelligences, that there are like 8 different intelligences, or you can, right?
Yeah.
And I don't dispute that. Like, for example, athletic intelligence. People who have good athletic intelligence tend to be good athletes. But there's intelligence called emotional intelligence, and this is contended by many people who know what they're talking about to be the most important intelligence, and the one that's least available to people today. That they don't have a good emotional well-being, that they are impoverished in terms of managing their emotions, for whatever reason, and for whatever lack of skills. And what you're talking about here with Melody Cloud and binaural beats is a way that they can do it without any expertise, without any professional attention or cost, just by putting on some earbuds and plugging in to your binaural beats, your tracks.
Yeah, we make it very simple. I made it very clear to my team, we need to make this as simple as possible. You go to the website, if you are feeling grief and you want a respite, you want to feel better about things, you press a button, and you're going to be given a selection. All of these tracks are going to do what it is you're asking them to do. If you want to focus, same thing. If you need to drive somewhere for a extended period of time, hours driving, I tell people, listen, I have a whole section on getting you from point A to point B and being as alert and focused about your driving as possible. I have truck drivers that contact me, whole bunch of truck drivers that contact me and say, listen, I can drive 40% further. I mean, it's an actual email. I can drive 40% further when I'm listening to a binaural focus beat, and I feel nowhere near as tired when I get to my destination. They swear by it. They absolutely love being able to get in that zone when they're driving, be aware of everything that's going on around them, and then when they get to that destination, step out of that truck and feel like it was a much shorter ride than when they started off.
That's huge. That's
massive.
That'd be a huge desire for that right there. And that's just your alertness binaural tracks. Is that what that is?
So yeah, it's focus. Yeah,
focus.
I have, how it works is you go into Melody Clouds and it asks you, what do you want? Are you sad? Here are some grief. We're going to block your grief for a little while, because that is a real big issue for a lot of people.
Right.
You talked about that emotional intelligence. We live in a time, and I don't know many people that would disagree with this, but okay. But we live in a time where it's a victim Olympics.
Oh, boy.
Everyone is trying to be the most traumatized or most victimized.
Society has gone astray, my friend.
And we agree. We absolutely agree. Now, we can, but the fact is, that's the reality. Now, what are we going to do about that? Mm-hmm. Well, what I'm going to do about it is I'm going to offer people a way of feeling less victimized, of taking charge and no longer allowing that to control their life. If they want, I'll put it to you this way. Hospitals exist for a reason. And I explain this to people. When someone is injured, you do not just leave them outside in the middle of a field, okay? You take them to a warm, dry, safe hospital, and you feed them and you allow them to recover. Why? Why do we do that? The answer is very simple. The brain allocates resources to the area of the body that's injured.
Yes.
It can best do that if it's not worried about surviving while it's doing that.
Yes.
So you pick that person up and gently put them into a hospital. They will heal. If they're going to heal, they'll do it way quicker because their brain now knows we're safe, we're being fed, we're warm and out of the elements. Now I can concentrate on healing the body of this individual.
What most people don't realize is they think the purpose of their brain is to think. It's not true. That's the thinking organ, no doubt. But the purpose of the brain is to keep you alive. That's the reason why all animals have brains, to keep us alive. Now, us humans, our brain is also a problem-solving thing. This is where the difference between us and the other animals. But the brain always wants to look for threats. It always looks for threats, and if it does, it goes into that survival mode: fight or run, fight or flee. But when it's chill, like you just described, then it can think about other things. And healing is something that it needs safety for. Otherwise, it doesn't do it either very well.
Yeah, here's another clue that what we're talking about is actually, the correct and the right thing and true. The saying, music soothed the savage beast. Okay, well, how did it do that? Obviously, that animal, whatever it was all pissed off, angry and whatever. That brain recognized, okay, it's time now, we can calm down. And we have that saying for a reason, because that is actually true. When you're feeling sad, when you're feeling tired, when you're feeling stressed out, the first thing most people do is reach for their playlist. They want that music to soothe them, to calm them. Here's another. Okay, so Melody Clouds, we have over 3,000 lullabies on Melody Clouds. So new parents, I'm talking to you right now. Listen to what I'm about to tell you. I own all of it. And I cut those lullabies to 20-hour segments. Same lullaby, 20 hours. Now,
20 hours.
Why'd I do that? I did that not because I think you're going to put your kid to sleep for 20 hours. What a horrible idea with that. I mean, that would be a horrible idea. Okay. But what I did that for is when you put that baby down, it will wake up at some point during the night. And something is going to have to soothe that child, whether it's a groggy parent or whether it is my lullaby. Yes. That baby wakes up, it recognizes the room that it's in, it recognizes the warm blanket and the smells around it as being familiar, and it hears the music and says, okay, it's safe for me to soothe.
It's wonderful.
30%, 60% quicker self-soothing because you have that environment in place for that child. That alone is awesome. Worth the cost of admission
awesome.
To Melody Clouds.
God, that's a God gift to young parents.
I get a lot of messages. In my email address, Wayne Altman at Melody Clouds. I invite people to, tell me what their experience was. I do that every time I talk to somebody. And overwhelmingly, I get messages back going, this freaking is a godsend. Wow. Every night, my wife or I were up with the baby. Within a couple weeks, that kid learned the first skill you learn as a new infant is the art of self-soothing. It's the first thing that you learn. How quick do you want that to happen?
Right.
Hey, I've got kids. I wanted it to happen on the first night. I wanted that kid to let me get some sleep too.
Wow, great stuff. Let's take a moment to hear from our sponsor, and we'll come right back with Wayne Altman, the soother of babies.
This episode of Self-Help Coaching is brought to you by Perficio. Perficio learns more about you as you make progress and then uses that information to help you even more. It is quasi-AI. Visit www.perficio.io. That's PERFICIO.io, where you can be helped by something that learns more about you, because that is the difference that makes the difference.
You're listening to the Self-Help Coaching Podcast with me, your host, Tony Petrozza. I got to say, I am beyond delighted with this conversation. Not only is it just we have a great rapport and a great organic discussion, the value that you are providing the listener, I think, is just top notch. I'm obviously your product has so much benefits, but I think that the information that we're providing, which is nuanced and multifaceted, is really, people can really get a lot out of it and lead them down a path where they can learn a lot more. So I really appreciate you, Wayne. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome.
So let's get into meditation.
Mhm.
How can meditation help heal illness and increase your mental well-being?
Well, I kind of touched on that in the last, segment, okay? Where, the answer is, we put people in a hospital for a reason, right? We want to soothe them. We want to put their brain in a relaxed state. That way it can better allocate resources. It's not worried about fighting or flight. It's not worrying about survival. It's now we're very calm, right? And we're relaxed. We're so that's number one. That's the first thing that we got to do. We got to put you in a frame of mind to heal.
All right. So, but that's in a conscious, eyes open state.
Yes, or in a meditative state. I mean, you can put someone into a light hypnosis or a meditative state where they're constantly allowing their mind, allowing their thoughts, allowing their being to heal, to really put forth some concentrated effort in whether it's emotional healing or whether it's actually physical healing. Now, there's a lot of studies that dictate and say, look, this works. That information is out there by the SCAD. I mean, it is overwhelming that if you are in a stress situation, your injuries could be made worse. So getting yourself to a relaxed, and meditation certainly helps with that, but getting yourself to a relaxed state is going to be the optimum way of healing faster and more completely.
So, and by using like melody clouds or binaural beats, a person I guess they have to use it consistently. Is that correct?
I would imagine the more consistent you are with it, just like anything else, right? I mean, if you're a bowler and the more consistently you put that ball down the lane in the right spot, the better chance you're going to have of anything. Golfer, whether it's if you deal with your spouse, I'm married, I love my wife dearly. I know exactly how I need to present things to her. We've been together for almost 20 years. I know how things need. So the consistency of my being a spouse is the best method of keeping that marriage not only healthy, but happy as well, right? So consistency, parenting. Every single person out there knows if you're an inconsistent parent and your child gets a whiff that there are no consequences, all hell breaks loose. It's just not a good, you've got to apply rules fairly, evenly, and consistently to yourself and to everyone around you.
Excellent metaphor. And what are the alternatives? If you're having medical issues or emotional issues or issues of life, really, just be that general. What's the cost of solving those problems? I mean, what are you willing to pay to solve those problems? Whatever it may be, and it may be a gambit, you have in binaural beats a possible solution, if not a solution that has many testimonials that says, oh, this worked for me. I listen to this consistently. I'm in a better mood, and therefore I do better, or I go to sleep, or I'm alert while driving. It feels, it's much less strenuous. So it seems like, at the very least, it's worth exploring.
Well, I will tell you this. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. So we have an app on the iOS and Android devices, right?
Great. We're in the same camp on that.
About to come out. I'm very excited about it. But I talked to my design team, and I want you to guess what the largest button on that entire app, go anywhere on my app, the largest button. What do you think it is?
Start. Is it the start button?
No, the unsubscribe button. It's very easy to find. and it is the largest button on my entire app. And there's a reason for that.
You should have made it hidden.
No, too many people do that. And
Yeah.
that would accomplish the exact opposite of what I am trying to do, stress you out.
Right.
I am you are going to be in charge when you're with me. You're the one in charge.
Yeah.
You are the one that says this is working for me or this is not working for me. And if it's not working for you, good luck. Hope you find something that works for you, and let's move together. You know what I mean? You can figure it out now. But I did not want anyone to be
Frustrated.
Yeah, right. I don't want anyone on this app that isn't 100% being benefited by it and wants to be there. This is not a captive audience.
So you've been using a website and downloads to a smartphone or an iPod, and they use the MP3 player app or whatever.
Right now, as we sit, that we have a website. That website streams over mobile devices, or it streams over your computer, iPad. So we cover all of the electronic devices that way. Okay.
Right, so it's not a download. It's a stream.
It's you're 100% stream. So
Yeah.
while you're using that, now there you have it. Okay. Now, very shortly, Apple, thank you, Apple. We have a team of people that are working right now around the clock to try and fix some issues with their connection to Melody Clouds. So you'll be able to carry this anywhere you want to go.
Fantastic.
But yes, facial recognition, it's extremely secure. Absolutely. And if I do say so myself, I have one of the most beautiful apps I've ever seen I've worked very hard to make it that way. Now, the reason that I did that is because I want people to have this wherever and whenever they need it and be able to get benefit of it. A lot of the people that I'm dealing with right now, they need sleep. And so you picture a guy that's from the city and he goes out to the country and he can't get to sleep because he can't hear the horns honking and he can't hear the people yelling and screaming at one another, right? And then imagine the exact opposite, the guy that's from a rural area and is used to listen to crickets and owls and frogs chirping, right? And he goes to the city where none of that is happening. The best you can get is a rat scurrying around. I wanted you to be able to carry this wherever you go and be able to fall asleep to the sounds that you listen to best when you fall asleep.
My falling asleep soundtrack is a soundtrack of warfare and people screaming. No, of course not. No,
We have to send you to the Ukraine or someplace.
Right. I can't stand when I go to sleep to hear external noises. If it's my own noise, like say waves crashing on the beach or surf, I love it. Or rain, my sound effects, I love it. But if it's some noise coming from outside, also I'm like, argh! So yes, a person has to have his or her way of falling asleep, and that can make all the difference.
Yeah, the Melody Cloud, we have 300,000 files right now.
Wow.
So one of the things I recognized very early was that some people like to read books, other people like being read to. Now, you mentioned 16,000 audiobooks that are on the website. Well, guess what? That's an outdated number. There's well over 17,000 audiobooks, and it grows on a monthly basis.
That's incredible.
So very short
audiobooks. That's fantastic.
Yeah. So we all the classics too. And some of the people that are reading these books, you wouldn't believe. I won't name them, but you got to find out. Some of the people that are reading these books will blow your mind. Now, I'm talking about Moby Dick. I'm talking about Pride and Prejudice. I'm talking about Dracula, Frankenstein,
Classics.
All of the classic books. They're there and you'll have someone reading you to sleep every single night. Very near future, you'll be able to put binaural beats over the top of that and get both the benefit of the book that you're reading or they're reading to you and a binaural beat over the top of that. Also,
wow,
I'll tell you a little secret.
Love it. I love
it. So
it.
we're putting together an app within my app. We will be very shortly able to put binaural beats or solfeggio over the top of any music that you want to listen to. So you'll be able to you'll be able to take Ed Sheeran, you'll be able to take Taylor Swift, whatever you want to listen to,
whatever you want. That's
and
fantastic.
put that music right over the top of binaural beats to help you. Now that,
That's
to my
remarkable.
knowledge, has not been done,
Yeah.
but we're about to do that. We're about to
and
make that happen.
I've gotten a number of tracks that have binaural beats, but it was the music it came on. You're saying your music and you add the binaural beat, so you get to listen
Tony,
to what you love. And
I bought thousands and thousands of hours. I own all of this music right now that's on Melody Clouds. I own every single file that's on Melody Clouds right now. And so I always thought, but what I couldn't do was get my hands on certain genres of music. Praise music, for example, Christian praise music, almost impossible unless you're going to license it. And I don't even want to talk about the licensing. It is absolutely ridiculous. But now I can take those sounds, place them directly over any track that you're already listening to. Problem solved, baby.
That's like a game changer in the realms of
total game changer.
Wow, that's fantastic. Okay, so we've spent most of the discussion speaking about how great binaural beats are, quite sincerely. Let's get into this. Will be my final question of the interview, Wayne. Let's get into the side effects. What are the side effects of binaural beats, solfeggio, and guided meditation?
Well, side effects are you'll be able to sleep longer, better, and deeper.
How awful.
You'll be more focused. What are the side effects of music? The side effects of music are you want to listen to more music.
Yeah.
One of the things that it's easier for me to tell you what the side effects aren't. Okay. Side effects aren't that you're going to gain weight. The side effects aren't anal leakage. The side effects aren't, heart palpitations. Okay. It's much easier to list the things that if you were to take a drug and you've got this list, remember, anytime you see a drug on TV, they've got this list of side effects that dizziness, right. These horrific side effects.
It's like a comedy.
You're on the way to work, you listen to music. What are the side effects? Well, you're in a better mood when you get to work.
Fantastic. I love it, man. I like I said, I've been interested in it for a long time, but you have revitalized my interest in it. I mean that quite sincerely.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be checking out melodyclouds.com. And as I said to you, and it's not unusual that, guests that I've had in the podcast, the beginning of a relationship, I know this is the beginning of a great relationship because
I agree.
We're both very similar in a number of ways. We both know the value and we love strategic alliances, but I see how you and I have a great integration, a great alignment, great sprockets lining up about what you do and about what I do. So, man, this has been a delight for me, a pleasure, and I think it's a great service to my listeners. Do you have any final remarks to them?
Well, the only thing that I would like to say is that right now we are running a special for your listeners. We're doing $2.99 and it's 60 days trial period. Okay, you get 60 days to try it out for $2.99. And then
$2.99.
$2.09. Here.
When I spoke, hold on, Wayne. When I spoke to you in the beginning, I thought you meant $299.
No. Listen, one of my biggest pet peeves. I got to tell you this. One of my biggest pet peeves.
That's great.
All of these other apps that people use. I don't need to name them. All these other apps that people use. Godspeed. If it's working for you, I need you to stay with it. But I realized very quickly that I don't need all of your money. I don't need that. But matter of fact, I would much prefer you keep most of your money. Okay. $2.99 will let you have 2 months, 60 days to try out Melody Clouds. If it works for you, I'm going to ask $5.99, $6, a gallon of gas per month. In California, I live in California. Yeah. That's a gallon of gas to me. Okay. Yeah. Not even a Starbucks coffee. Now, if you want to pay 4 times that, I can tell you where to go. It's not necessary.
Right.
They don't have the number of files that we have. They don't have the selection that we have as far as that, as far as being entertaining or, giving you those tools. But if you'd like that, I'm more than, by all means, Godspeed. But I figured out very quickly what it would cost me and what I should charge people for this.
Yeah.
And I have put in there, look, my price doesn't have to go up for 10 years. Doesn't matter really what happens. My price doesn't have to go up for 10 years. So I'm perfectly fine. Matter of fact, if everybody within the sound of my voice takes me up on this, I'm going to giggle like a schoolgirl. It'll be great.
That's great. I really recommend and encourage everyone to go to melodyclouds.com. He's also on social media, on Facebook. He's on, you can look for Melody Clouds Meditation. On Instagram, it's Melody. What is it on Instagram?
Cloud. I couldn't get Melody Clouds, so they stopped me at Cloud. Melody Cloud. Melody Cloud. So,
Yeah.
you know, I got to talk to Elon about that.
If you want to check out Wayne's resume, he's on LinkedIn, of course. And we're gonna make a profile page for you on our website. Great stuff. Really appreciate it. And I'm gonna say it one last time because I this is, to me, this is a great slice of a personal development pie. And I mean that it's a slice that you shouldn't neglect. That if you include it in your pie of personal development, which I think everyone should have a commitment to personal development, that means they're going to be nutty. That means that you just want to improve yourself at the pace that's good for you. I'm going to be, just as I said before, I'm going to be checking out melodyclouds.com.
You start thinking about pie.
Yeah, right. But you've revitalized my interest in binaural beats, and I encourage others to do the same, to check it out. Thank you so much for coming on, Wayne. My pleasure. And remember, everyone, we're all responsible for ourselves, and we could all use a little help. With that, thanks for listening to the Self-Help Coaching Podcast, and thank you very much, Wayne Altman.
Thank you for tuning in to the Self-Help Coaching Podcast, where insights, attitudes, and methods for success get illuminated. Learn what leaders and change workers have done and are doing now to create magnificent futures. Remember to visit our website at self-helpcoaching.com and enjoy even more great episodes like this one. Again, while you're here, subscribe to us via your favorite network. We look forward to seeing you next time on the Self-Help Coaching Podcast.